everybody. Today we are going to the Ma Barker house. Yes, in Ocklawaha, Florida. And the Ma Barker house is where Ma Barker and her son Fred were killed in January 16th, 1935. Now, a little bit about the Barker family. They were like one of these gangs from the Public Enemy era of the 1930s. Probably the worst gang. They were known for robberies. They were known for kidnappings, murders. They killed many policemen, many civilians. And their career ended at this shootout in 1935 when the agents of the Department of Justice, then Department of Justice, showed up, then later to be known as the FBI. And there were some, I think the number was 600 some odd rounds exchanged. It's said that the gunfight lasted for 4 hours. Technically, probably more like 2 hours because they waited a few hours to go into the house to see if they were dead. But we're going there today. We're going to catch some of the tour and we're going to go through the house, see some comparisons of what the house looked like then and what it looks like now. Oh, by the way, it's not the original spot. It was actually moved across, I think it's Lake Weir, to the other side. So the actual site, the house is no longer in the actual site, but it's still the same house. A lot of the furniture from that period is still in there. Everything is still there. And we're going to go there today. So join me. Thank you. So here we are at the Lake Weir recreational area. This is the taking off spot for the Ma Barker tour. Now the original house was off to my left down the street. They actually moved it down the lake to this position down here. We can't see it. We'll have to take a tram ride out there. And in about a half hour or so, we'll be getting on that tram and we'll be meeting the tram in the parking lot over here. Let me just pan over to the parking lot. Just about out there. And that's where we're going to get picked up. Well, here we are on the tram ride to the Ma Barker house.
You did? You said that?
As you can see, it's a full house. Ma Barker house up ahead.
They're buried some. We don't.
I'll tell you, I went
I took Phil.
I took Phil a month ago.
I was having my nails done.
I'm gonna go more often.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh.
Like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
All the ladies.
Yeah. Stick
All the
Back in
ladies.
1873, when she was 19, she married George Elias Barker, took his name. She changed her name at that point to Kate. She was originally called by her parents the Clarks. Arizona was her name. She got rid of that. So from there on, she was Kate Barker or Ma Barker. She and George got together and began producing sons, 4 in a row, over about 9 years. Herman was the oldest, then Lloyd was the second oldest, the one who tried to go straight, the oddball. And then the 2 youngest ones, Arthur, who was always called Doc, so you'll hear me call him Doc, and Freddie. Those 2 went on eventually to become the nucleus, along with Alvin Karpis of the Barker-Karpis gang that really took off in around 1932. The oldest son, Herman, died in 1927, being shot by a policeman after he shot another policeman. His dying words as he sat in a parking lot bleeding out was, "Tell Ma I'm sorry." He was buried in the Williams Timber Hill Cemetery out in Welch, Oklahoma. His younger brother Lloyd, in 1921, after trying to go straight by serving in the U.S. Army in World War I, made the mistake of coming back to the family, tried a crime a little bit more. He tried to rob a post office payroll, U.S. Post Office, was caught immediately because it was a federal crime, sentenced to 25 years in Leavenworth Prison in Kansas. So he's gone. About this time, George finally threw up his hands. He'd had enough. Between 27 and 28, he just left the family. It's obvious, looking at the record, that Ma Barker was the dominant personality of the two of them. He was a nice guy and had tried to raise his kids, you know, to learn how to hunt and fish and be good kids. In fact, Ma herself took the boys to church every week. But other than taking them to church, they were pretty much allowed to do what they want, and they fell in with a local gang of toughs and started their life of crime. She protected them. She would fight for them when they got caught. She'd plead their innocence. She blamed the police authorities from picking on them and stood up for them as much as she could. She was basically an enabler, and at some point she realized that the money that the kids were bringing in from their thieving was pretty good. She had been born to sharecroppers. Her parents were sharecroppers, and her husband never made any much money because he was pretty much a night watchman or gas station attendant type of guy. So the money coming in, she loved her children to death, but she also loved the money very much that they brought in. The two younger ones in 1927, when George left the family, were also in jail. So for about 3 years, since George had left, Ma Barker lived in just abject poverty in a tar paper shack, no running water. The sons eventually both got out, 1931 and 32. But while Freddie was in Kansas State Prison, he met a guy named Barker-Karpis, a little younger than him, another professional thief. And Barker-Karpis became the brains of the gang after they all got out of jail. He was intelligent. He had basically a photographic memory. He could walk into a bank, and he had the looks almost of a history teacher. He didn't look like a criminal. So he would dress up, walk into a bank, pretend that he was going to open up a couple of accounts and get a tour of the bank from the bank manager. And by the time he walked out, he knew exactly where everything was and where everybody was. So when they hit that bank 3 weeks later, the job would come out to a T. He would have everything designed properly for the escape routes, have extra gasoline cans, extra tires, because they would get shot out sometimes by police, whatever was needed to get away free. He was a very particular person about how he did things. He was the brains of the gang, no doubt. The myth about Ma Barker, if you ever seen the 1970 movie called Bloody Mama, starring Shelley Winters and a very young Robert De Niro, it's complete nonsense, but she's depicted as a cigar chomping, machine gun shooting wild woman who's driving the getaway car and shooting cops, and it's total nonsense. The only thing they really got in that movie was correct was the names of her 4 sons. Freddie and Ma went down to Miami and stayed in the El Commodore Hotel down there in Miami. A couple of the others went in different places. Barker-Karpis and his girlfriend and his buddy and her girlfriend, his girlfriend, went to Cuba, stayed there for a while, and then came back to Miami and stayed in a house there. Meanwhile, they're trying to launder this money. Where was I going with that? A week before this shootout, the FBI finally caught up with Doc Barker up in Chicago where he was hiding. By luck, they caught him without shooting him. They spirited him away immediately because they didn't want the press, newspapers, and radio to find out they had one of the big fish. He wouldn't tell the FBI anything, but in the same raid in a neighboring building, they caught a guy named Brian Bolton. He was a minor gang member, and he saw the writing on the wall and said, I'm going to go ahead and spill my guts. He told him everything he knew. He says, I know where Ma and Freddie are. They're in this house down on a lake down in Florida, someplace south of Jacksonville. I don't know too much about it. They're always looking for this big old gator named Old Joe in the lake there. He's got his 1934 Plymouth coupe there in the garage. That's all I know, but they didn't really believe him. It took them actually 2 days later before they found a folding map of Florida in Doc Barker's lair where he was hiding, and a big pencil circled around Ocala and this lake in Ocklawaha. They put Brian Bolton's words together with that and came up with the idea that maybe they're down here. Hoover handpicked one of his special agents in charge, a guy named E.J. Connolly, to come down here and do some looking and poking around. One thing led to another. He finally found himself in Ocklawaha talking to Mr. Greenlee, who was the post office manager. Showed him all the pictures of these mug shots and so forth of the criminals. He didn't recognize anybody, and asked, well, does anybody strange come into town lately or moved in or renting? Or he says, well, the Bradford house over here, there's been some folks that moved in there. They call themselves the Blackburns. And he says the funny thing about them, they're always getting newspapers almost every day in the mail. They're wrapped in brown paper so you can't see where they're from. E.J. Connolly immediately picked up on that, because he was smart enough to realize that Blackburn was one of the aliases that the gang used. Set up some surveillance on the property, and the day before the shootout actually was able to see Fred and Ma walking on the property. He called up J. Edgar Hoover and said, Mr. Hoover, send all my flying squad down here. The flying squad was just a group of special agents that he was assigned to him. They all flew down here on the night of the 15th of January, 1935. Flew to Jacksonville and drove down here in their Hudsons and cars overnight. By 5:30 in the morning, they were all arranged here around the house. E.J. Connolly placed all of his men exactly where he wanted them. Most of them were over in this area. There was good cover here by big trees right in front of that little caretaker house. E.J. Connolly himself would have been like right where you're standing. His right-hand man, Doc White, was here. Had a couple fellas over there. Fellas back by the garage in case somebody tried to escape, get in the car. And other guys along here in the backside, as well as two men up at the main road blocking traffic in both directions. I had to sit there and wait till about 7 o'clock. Finally got light enough to see what they were doing. E.J. Connolly walked up a little bit to the house and shouted out, people in the house, come out one by one, nobody will get hurt. They didn't hear anything. A couple minutes went by, Doc White basically shouted the same thing. Finally, not hearing anything, so finally they hear a woman inside. We take a lot of information from the memos that the special agents had to type up tediously after an operation like this, of everything that happened, everything they saw, heard. Several of them say they heard a woman say, what are you gonna do? E.J. Connolly went a little bit closer to the house and finally shouted out, Freddie, Barker, come out first, otherwise we're going to shoot tear gas. And then you hear a woman again, which is Ma Barker, just says a woman, saying, okay, go ahead. E.J. Connolly thinks they're going to come out, so he starts walking towards the front door. Just at that moment, machine gun fire comes out of that closest upstairs window. There's bullets splashing in the sand right in front of him. He's ducking for cover. All these guys over here, Doc White opens up with his .351 Winchester. These guys start shooting. And at the same time, the two guys over here that have tear gas guns shoot canisters trying to hit these windows, the lower story windows with the canisters, but they're like 50 feet away. The canisters come in a little bit low, bounce off of the house, start spewing all that nice gas over here where these guys are trying to shoot. Not too happy about that. Uh, the shooting goes on hot and heavy for probably an hour or so. Freddie runs from one window to another, up on the second floor particularly, trying to make it look like there's more than one person in the house shooting. Several of the memos say that at the same time, the same moment that Freddie opened up with his Thompson submachine gun upstairs, some fire came out from down below on the first floor, briefly. If that's the case, that would have been Ma Barker, and the only time in her life that she ever shot at anybody, as far as we know. By 9 o'clock, and slowly the fighting, or the firing slowed down. By 9 o'clock, the house was quiet. From 9 o'clock to almost 12 was a standoff. The agents were just laying low. They didn't know if there may be somebody still in the house injured that could shoot if they went in. They were in no hurry to go in there and risk their lives. None of the agents, by the way, were hurt in this. You'll hear stories that it was it was the longest shootout in FBI history, and that's true. You'll hear stories that it was 4 hours long. No, it was 2 hours, and a 3-hour standoff. You'll hear that there were 2,000 bullets fired, and that's not true. The actual count officially from the FBI was slightly fewer than 900 shots fired total, 250 of which came from, approximately came from Freddie, and the rest from the FBI. A little bit before 12, Doc White's sitting over here and he hears some rustling coming from the caretaker house. He goes over, and here comes this 26-year-old black fella, Willie Woodbury, and his wife, followed by his wife, comes out. He interrogates Willie. Who are you? What are you doing here? Willie says, yeah, my name's Willie. I'm the caretaker here. The Blackburns hired me. They're paying $5 a week for me to help take care of the place and, take care of the chickens, take the trash and stuff out. My wife helps out. What's going on? We were underneath the bed in there trying to figure out all the shooting. He said, we got talking a little bit, and the story diverges here. The official account from the FBI said Willie Woodbury volunteered to go inside and see if there's anybody alive. And they gave him a bulletproof vest and he went in. Willie Woodbury, to the day he died, said it wasn't quite what happened. They asked me if I would please go in and check because they knew they knew me, and they offered me a $20 bill and gave me the bulletproof vest, and I reluctantly went in. So you can believe who you want, but he did go in, went up to the front door, it was locked. They had to give him a penknife to cut the screen there. He went in, and they're waiting out here to find out what's going on. He walks through the house. He's right walking in the main room. He sees a pool of blood there, stuff broken, and glass broken, beer bottles on the dining room table, and glass everywhere. He walks upstairs, and they're wondering what's going on. And finally, he sticks his head out of the window there, where all the fire came from, and says, "They're here." B.J. Connolly says, "Well, what are they doing?" "They're nothing. They're dead, both of them."
So you were talking about that bullet that
Yes, right.
struck.
Right there.
Is that the bullet hole?
Not.
Did you examine it for DNA or anything?
Will follow me home. No problem.
Are you sensitive?
Yes.
Are you sensitive? So am
Are you?
I have
I thought so. I could tell
have-
when you were touching the mirror. I sent you to talk to her because, yeah.
I have obsidian in my over my doors, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very sensitive.
Yeah.
We are in the room where they were found, right on the floor here, Fred and Ma Barker.
I'm the go-to person for every person that's
And
passed
we
away.
have two people who,
You know what?
Who are feeling vibes in here.
For me as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
It's-
overwhelming sometimes.
It's to the point where I really say, do not follow me home.
Oh yeah. You should always do that.
They
Yeah.
do anyway.
you forgot one time.
That,
I won't get into that on this video. So we're here at the famous Gator Joe's. This is a restaurant that was built in 1926. It said that the Barkers actually lived here. And there's a whole story here about Gator Joe. What do you think about the story of Gator Joe?
it's fabulous, but I'm not eating gator.
I am. Oh, you won't break your vegetarianness for like one day?
No.
Anyways, the story is, you probably heard it from you will hear it from the tour guide, that the Barkers were actually hunting an alligator called Gator Joe. Maybe that's him right there. And the FBI caught wind of it, and that's how they found out that they were down here. And we're gonna go in. Here we are at Gator Joe's after seeing the Ma Barker house. And guess what I'm going to be having? Yes. Gator tail basket. Never had it before. What do you think you're gonna have?
Pasta Alfredo. There's no meat in that.
I think they put gator in it, don't they? Hey, this is a family-friendly channel. Should be doing that.
Chris, what do you got in that basket?
Alligator.
Can you believe it? Can you believe this right now? I'm eating alligator.
I'm going to eat alligator.
For the first time?
Yes.
Well, go ahead. But,
I've always wanted to try this in rattlesnake.
that's just gross. Go ahead,
Yeah.
put it in your mouth.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Well, what's it taste like?
Doesn't taste like chicken.
No. Does it taste like fish?
No.
You don't like it?
No, it's kind of a gamey taste, but not like venison or anything like that. It doesn't taste like any. It doesn't taste
Would you
like
get it
chicken.
again?
That's kind of a myth. Let me try it again.
Would you get it again?
Yeah, I like it.
Ugh.
Let me have another bite.
That bird behind you might likes it too.
Kind of tough.
It's tough. What about the taste? What about the taste?
It's okay.
Oh. Ew.